Once we're deep, going deep, Chad and JT.
All right, what's up, Stokers of Stoke Nation? This is Chad Kroger coming in with Going Deep with Chad and JT podcast. Guys, before we begin, we are brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our trims pubed, for looking after our hogs, and making sure that when you enter that region it is well groomed, thanks to the good dudes at Manscaped. Use the Lawnmower 2.0. And Mr. Parr, do you dabble in the manscaping?
No, I'm not there, guys.
Nice. Well, you did. You tried it once. I remember Mom told me that, like, when Chris and I got into it, that she caught you also adapting.
I've heard the story. Yeah.
You have?
the
I
Manscaped.
don't recall that.
Yeah. Well, convenient, but yeah, I've heard about it from a reliable source.
Well, if you want to get back into it, the Lawnmower 2.0 is the best place to start. Use code GODEEP at manscaped.com. And I'm here with my compadre, Jean Thomas. What up?
Boom, clap, Stokers.
And we are here with JT's dad, Mr. Parr.
Tommy P, how's it going?
Tommy.
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Dad, get a little closer to the mic, too. Sorry.
That's
yeah,
okay.
right there. How you doing?
Good.
What
Had a
time?
nice weekend in L.A.
Yeah, you been enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Mellow.
What time did you get up this morning?
5:30.
Nice. What'd you do at that time?
Turned on the news.
You seeing good stuff on there?
I always like the mornings, early mornings. It's peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no distractions.
No, it's good. My head's clear and all good.
When you were a kid in Jersey and you'd wake up before the rest of the family, what would you do?
That was hard to do, to always be first, because there were 6 kids in my family total.
So they were getting
there
up
was
early
always
too.
something going, and pretty active family.
Yeah, a lot of energy.
A lot of energy.
Which place were you in the siblings?
I was the 4th child.
Okay.
And your mom was running the household.
Yes.
Which a lot of your friends, because I told your friends to send us emails or questions rather to ask you, and one of the things that some of them mentioned, primarily Ruthie, your friend Ruthie, was that you grew up upper middle class at the start, but then you guys dipped.
Yeah, my dad was an entrepreneur, and he was in the building business, and it went up and down. And at one time he was the largest home builder in New Jersey. And it was after post-war Korea, and that my dad was was in a space where he was building almost like what you would call today prefab homes, and selling a lot of these. I think my dad at one time was building like 50 homes a month, and but he was also financing them. And at that time, they didn't have places to sell off the paper that you were holding, and he was borrowing short-term and lending long-term, and I guess interest rates had been pretty stable for a long time, and then there was the economy kind of went crazy, and interest rates spiked, and he got caught holding a lot of paper, but he came through it, but it downsized the companies quite a lot.
It's remarkable because my dad was like 11 years old when all that happened.
Really?
But he remembers like the interest rates from like 1962.
Yeah. Did you always have an interest in business and like finance? Like, were you always sort of keeping up to date with all that kind of stuff?
I was pretty good with numbers, but my dad took me in under his wing. I mean, he used to take me everywhere, and even in meetings, business meetings. And my dad was a pretty interesting guy. He was also a pretty renowned chess player, and which was his passion. My dad used to play chess probably 8 hours a day.
Really?
Oh yeah, he'd come home from work and he'd go in the living room, and it was his room, and play chess by himself for 5 hours.
Really?
Yeah, he belonged to the Manhattan Chess Club in New York, and he also belonged to a couple other chess clubs, one's in Princeton and that.
And I think he even got to like Bobby Fischer, the
He played
greatest
against
American
Bobby
chess
Fischer.
player ever.
How'd he do?
Well, but at those time, Bobby Fischer used to play against 20 people at the same time.
Really?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I think he did fairly well considering.
Yeah.
He was an avid. He was pretty. That was his passion.
And
Did
he
you
was
play?
I did at a younger age. I haven't played chess in a long time, but
Yeah.
it's a great game.
We used to play growing up. And your dad was Hindu, right?
He was an orphan, but he had a religion called Ramakrishna, and I was raised a Catholic. My mother was a Catholic, and there was times we'd had swamis in the house, and we had priests in the house.
Really?
So it was interesting. And, yeah, my dad did a lot for the Ramakrishna Center, which is in Manhattan, and helped them financially in other ways, helped them publish books and things like that. But he was very close to a couple key swamis there. And
Was it ever, like, what did you think when the swamis would come over?
I was a little weird. I mean, because you have your friends over, and they go, "What's all that going over there in that room?" My dad used to burn incense and things of that nature. My dad was different, and it wasn't. At that time of life, it wasn't so mainstream, and or maybe today it's not even mainstream. But it was different. It was different.
Yeah, but there's more like niche culture that's kind of generally accepted, I feel like now. Although I wasn't there when that happened.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
Do you maintain did it sort of change the way you think spiritually, or did you sort of stay within the Catholic kind of?
I think it kind of well balanced me.
Yeah.
The Catholic, you grow up as a Catholic, there's some pretty strict, staying with it. And this was a more internally yourself type of thing on the Hindu side, which it was a good overlap of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, you're very Catholic.
Yeah,
You're wearing a cross.
Yes, I
Little
am.
garish. It's gold.
Yeah, that's the jersey. I can't get it out of me.
Yeah. Now we have priests over at the house sometimes still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
Father
we did.
Bill.
Yeah, I love Father Bill.
What do you like about being tight with priests?
I think it's the world goes so fast, and it's nice to have what I call it more like spiritual advising, to reflect with somebody in a different way, and having different answers or things that you may not just want to talk, and it's some. I talk to a lot of people, but I do enjoy talking to priests. I do.
Yeah, that's nice.
Do you think
Bill's a good dude?
Do you think having some sort of faith or spiritual sort of cultivating that side of your life has helped you with business or just in general, or what's sort of the main benefit you've?
It's just a balance to me.
Yeah.
And I find as I get older, I am more kind of balanced in that approach. It's not before when you're I look back at my life sometimes, you just jump in it and do it.
Yeah.
Now you call it caution or call it whatever, but it's you're more look at things prospectively in a lot of different ways than I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's gotten much more involved with the Catholic Church actually in the past 10 years. My stepmom's Catholic, so he I think he just loves the community aspect of it too. He's always trying to push me. He's like, what you should do on Sunday? Go to church.
Yeah.
And I think he's found sort of, because he was never really spiritual or anything. I think he grew up religious, but in the past 10 years he's sort of seemed to have found a lot of peace from it. I think.
It is weird because my dad wasn't super Catholic, and then maybe when I was 16, he started going to church a lot.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of random when you're watching it as a offspring. You're like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, since when are you into all this stuff?
Yeah.
But it's very genuine.
I kind of have done that through my life, like gone in and out of it and gotten away from it and come back to it.
Right. So, Dad, you grew up in New Jersey. You got 5 siblings. Who are your best buddies?
In today or through time?
Through time, like back then.
I still have a lot of close friends that I grew up in that area with, and we still stay in touch a lot. And
how long have you known Jimmy T?
Long time. I met Jimmy when I was probably in 6th grade.
Right, and then you guys worked together.
Later on in years, we worked together.
A decade ago.
Yeah.
And then I think that's one of the coolest things about you is that you had this successful hair care business, but a lot of the people who worked in it were people that you've known since
A few people.
Childhood.
Not too many.
Well, Arthur was an investor. Your brother ran it with you. Jimmy T was in there.
Arthur I met later in my life, though.
But in your early 20s, though, right?
Yeah, when I was in my 20s, but not when I was young, really
Yeah.
young.
But you've had a lot of bros for a long time.
Yeah, that's kind of me. I mean, some people, you know, you meet people in your life that you have a connection with, and that have, I call it pretty good ethical points to them, and you know, aren't afraid to tell you what they think about what you think, and there's a bond. I mean, man, that's probably something I think is. I don't know. Maybe that's a Jersey thing or something. It's probably true in a lot of other places too. But there was a bond with people.
Did you always have an entrepreneurial mindset growing up, or is that sort of what you always envisioned for yourself?
I think that was a DNA that was built into my family.
Yeah.
My older siblings were pretty ambitious and entrepreneur, and my dad died when I was 13, and
oh wow.
My mother had 6 kids, raising them all at younger, teenage years. I guess Marianne at the time, my oldest sibling, was probably 18 at the time. So it was a young family, and a lot to manage for my mother, and outgoing kids, all active,
Yeah.
coming home late at nights, and all that. We were always out of the house. It was never in the house. We didn't have your iPhones in that period. It was outside. You got out of the house.
Well, you're a bit of a hellraiser too, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be over the top on that, but we sure had fun.
Would you say if you were a hellraiser though?
I knew a lot more crazier people than me.
That's always nice. No, that is nice.
I mean, I had some
I was the same way. I always said to people, I was like, I'm not that fucking nuts. I mean, look at that guy. Yeah, he's out of
I
his
knew
mind.
when to turn in the hallway in high school and go the other way.
Right. Who's that, like Joey Mamo?
Yeah, Joey Mamo.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He was a nutbag back in high school, right?
Pardon me?
Not to speak ill of the deceased, but Joey, I mean, when I knew him, he was a very peaceful guy.
Oh, yeah.
He had turned a corner.
Guy.
Yeah.
He mellowed out in time.
But yeah, I had a tough friend, Ross, and my dad used to come up to me and be like, Ross is tough, but my friend Joey in high school would have beat the fuck out of him. Yeah.
When you were raised in JT, did you see a lot of similarities in yourself and sort of the, because you're sort of like a ne'er-do-well,
Yeah.
or kind of just
I was always in
Hellraiser.
trouble too.
Yeah.
He had a mellow side to him.
Right.
He wasn't like a wound up kid.
Yeah.
He was wound up verbally all the time. But,
Yeah.
But it wasn't like he was wrecking, doing hell everywhere.
Yeah.
I think some people would disagree.
You were always on it in ways that I didn't worry
That was
much about
thoughtful.
you.
I think you did.
didn't. Yeah, JT had always had a confidence about him that was good.
Yeah.
I know about that. That's
So-
nice.
And he
though.
was smart. In fact, there was. I knew it when he even by the time he got into middle schools and that, he could sing them. They'd
Yeah.
go over my head. I'd have to figure out what he was trying to tell me.
Yeah. So you're like, this kid's got the gift of gab.
Yeah.
So he'll make his way in life.
Oh, he used to
Is it-
read incredible amounts of books.
Yeah.
He was a big reader.
Yeah.
Didn't do much else in school, but he sure liked to read.
My dad would always call me the mouth of the South.
Yeah.
I guess it was Ted
Yeah.
Turner's nickname.
Yeah.
That brings me to Troy. Troy wanted to know, how did you lose your virginity?
Thanks, Troy. I don't. I think I lost my virginity at the New Jersey shore. I did.
Oh, nice.
How old are you?
Probably 16.
You told me 14 when I was growing up, I think. Maybe not. Maybe that was Hunter's
Maybe because
dad.
I was telling you a little behind.
Yeah, it sounds like you. Do you remember the gal? Do you remember the story?
No. Yeah, wait, I know it was a night, and I was with a buddy, and we met up with these 2 girls, and it just carried on.
Was it a good experience?
Yeah, it was.
So you weren't dating her at the time?
No,
Yeah.
it was a one-off.
Oh, nice.
Do you have a girlfriend in high school?
Yeah, I did. I generally had girlfriends.
Didn't you almost marry one of them, and her dad wanted you to take over his bakery?
Well, that's what her plan was. That wasn't my plan.
Well, how did that go?
She was. That was Robin Latier. She was. Her
What's up,
family
Robin?
owned a big bakery in the Trenton area, and we were together for probably a couple years.
But the old man
But
pulled you
generally-
aside, right, and gave you the blueprint.
Not her father. Her father they had been divorced. It was her mother who was involved. It was a family bakery.
Oh, okay.
She kind of had her future planned out when she was 17, what she wanted to do, and get an apartment, get married, and it wasn't for me.
So you move out to Sun Valley, and then you were like a ski bum for a couple years.
I wouldn't call it. I worked in the evenings in the restaurants, and I had always had this love with restaurants. Younger, and skied in the daytime and all day, and probably 6-7 days a week skied, and worked at probably 5-6 nights a week in restaurants.
And you lived on buckwheat pancakes.
Yeah, well, I was so broke when I got to Sun Valley that I had worked in this diner. I mean, it was kind of like a breakfast cafe, 24-hour breakfast cafe, and I was pearl diving. That's dishwashing to you guys, and I was 17, and I ended up stealing a bag of buckwheat pancakes that I lived on for about 45 days straight. Which is all you had to do was add water.
Yeah. Do you live in Ketchum?
I lived in Ketchum.
Yeah.
Oh, so you go there a lot.
I do, yeah. Do you have a favorite run that you remember from the mountain? I love Holiday is my favorite.
I loved a lot of it. Exhibition was the big run.
Exhibition. I love Exhibition.
I was a pretty good skier. Actually, I skied at the end of the year there. It was late March, early April. We got a dump of about 3-4 feet of snow, and it was a single chairlift, no safety bar. And
Yeah.
I was in a powder day. It was early in the morning, and I was cleaning off my goggles, and I ended up getting my ski caught in one of the towers, and fell out about 40 feet and
Oh, shit.
broke compressed tube vertebrae in my back.
Oh, wow.
So I was done skiing for that year.
Yeah.
What'd you do that year when you were recovering?
I took a job. I came back east and took a job on a sailboat and lived on a sailboat, like a 54-foot boat, from another girlfriend that I knew. It was her grandfather. It was an interesting, and he lived in Hyde Park, New York. He was a surgeon.
So these people trusted you a lot, huh?
He needed help. And he was paying me $25 a week, and I was living off peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But I worked on the boat, get up in the morning, varnish, and do this and that. And, he had a home in Provincetown, Cape Cod, and he was married, and I think his wife came from a famous artist out of France. And they used to battle all the time, and we had this bell that was on the dock, and I'd hear probably 3-4 days a week. I'd be hearing this bell late at night, and I'd have to go get him, row in and get him, and he'd be all pissed off. He was fighting with his light, and he was about 6'6", big guy, and he was probably in his late 70s when I met him, but a real soul of the earth guy.
Yeah,
he taught me a lot. He was a really cool guy.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that, and I got to swim on my back every day. Swimming, and I never have since I've had a problem with my back.
Mm-hmm.
Sciatica.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's from long flights and staying on planes.
I remember when you had that.
Water.
I tried to wrestle you when you had it.
JT,
my sciatic, my sciatic.
I never drink enough water.
Yeah, you don't drink water ever. You hate the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm all over you about it. He hates water.
You hate water?
Yeah, you put water in front of him. He makes the most disgusting face at you. Yeah,
Dude,
you feel like you've disrespected him.
I get it. It can be a chore sometimes, but you got to drink your water.
Yeah, you gotta hydrate.
Yeah.
You're the king of the nicknames, and I'd like to know the origins of some of them. My dad, whenever you're acting cool, my dad will go, "Oh, look, it's Radical Frank the Weenie." And where did Radical Frank the Weenie come from?
Another character in my growing up youth.
What else? You had you call me Buckaroo Banzai. You call Bob Bobby Clyde. Scotty Waddy Doodah. You like to say, where did rock and roll sushi come from? Whenever there's a good scene in an action movie, my dad will go, rock and roll sushi. And where did that come from?
out of my mind. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you connect certain things with certain other things, and they just connect.
And then so many of your friends wanted to know about the nicknames because, like David Gingold, one of your best buddies, he wanted to know where you came up with Porky Magumbo.
Porky Magumbo. He calls me Porky Magumbo.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Where did that come from?
Him, because there be times that I lose weight, gain weight, or whatever, and sometimes I was overweighted, and David was always, again, he's an East Coast guy, and he framed me at one point. He says, he looked at me, he hadn't seen me in a long time, and he just spit out, "Man, you're Porky Magumbo."
It's a good nickname.
Yeah, it is.
And you had some other good ones. Like if you ever started, if I got sad, like, and I started crying when I was a kid over something that wasn't that important, my dad would go, "Do not cry, my heavyweight. You know I'm in love with you." And then if you were acting too cool and my dad needed to check you, he'd go, "Be cool," because I went to boxing school. And then, where did all those come from?
They
Just
just
from
come.
living? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you called Mom Turbo and Pork Chop.
Well, sometimes nicknames are opposites of what people are.
Right. Yeah. And you know it kind of gets to them. You're needling them a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Well, I think your mother didn't mind I called her Turbo.
You know what I do that you do too that used to drive Mom fucking crazy is whenever my mom would like pass out somewhere, my dad would take photos of her. Like she'd sleep where she wasn't supposed to be. Like we'd be at the airport and she'd just zonk out. My dad would just take all these photos of her.
Yeah.
And I love doing that too. I do that to Sally all the time.
you if you can recall, there never seemed to be a lot of pictures of your mother in the house because every picture we ever took of your mother, she never liked it and ripped it
Right.
up.
Oh, really?
Oh, we used to have photo albums, and she'd sometimes go into them and see a picture of her, and she'd rip it up and go, "Why'd you do that?"
Right.
I mean, these are historical pictures.
Right.
Hey, we were in Jackson Hole. Or, she'd
Yeah.
rip them.
Yeah. You know what else
I don't like that picture.
You know what I think is part of the reason I do it is that, the people I've dated have had so much personality and and I'm a little afraid of them. So when they're sleeping, they're like docile.
Yeah.
It was like my mom at her most passive.
When did you meet Monica?
I met Monica when I was probably 25. 25.
And where'd you guys
I
meet?
had met her. I had a friend of mine. I was living in Virginia in the restaurants, and I became good friends with a friend I'm still dearly friends with. And they were developers also, and they had built some condo projects in Fort Lauderdale. And I was 25, and Arthur at that time was probably 30-something. But they had I call them capitalist tool. They had a King Air airplane.
Yeah.
And we used to fly down to Fort Lauderdale where they were building condos and party on the weekends or go there because they had a place there too. And I met her brother in a club and at that time it was hard to get into some of these better clubs.
Right.
And he was pretty wired into all these clubs and then you'd go down there and you met somebody in connection. And we hung out. He was a fun guy and I ended up getting to know him, and he ended up introducing me to Monica. At that time, I had a girlfriend, and Monica had a boyfriend, and we kind of got to know each other because she also at the time liked to go out, and we went to all these great clubs, whether it was in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, and just being young and having fun and partying, and then through that period, which probably went on for a couple of years, that we knew each other, and we didn't get down there all the time. But when we did, they just happened to like us. They were from Colombia. We were Americans, and we just got along. And, and then after a period of time, Monica and I, after knowing each other for a while, it just kind of clicked.
Mom said you guys went out one night, and that actually Arthur and Freddie, who's Freddie's Arthur's brother and also one of your dear friends, she said all three of you guys were trying to hook up with her that night. and then she said she just liked you the most.
Well, yeah. I think they gave me the stink eye.
Yeah.
I think I got on a piano and started drumming some notes, playing, and that won her over.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
My dad's never learned how to play piano, but he has a good natural instinct for it.
Oh, you can just rip it out?
And no fear of flying. We'd go over to family friends' houses, and he would just start playing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have tools. It's cheating. Whenever you do something
Yeah,
that's
we used to call it cheating too.
Whenever you use a skill that differentiates you from people and makes
Like
someone
the guy that
attracted
sends
to you.
flowers after he went out on a date, we used to call that cheating.
My dad goes, "You're
Yeah.
cheating." You're cheating. And then I know you loved Mama Luce, Mom's mom, so much. That was actually the first time I ever saw you cry, I think, was when she got sick. And the house had just flooded in Nailygale, my childhood home. And
she had pancreatic cancer too.
Yeah. I know she meant so much to you guys. It's so beautiful.
She was just a beautiful, cool woman. You know, she had a sparkle, energy, very, fashionable, outgoing, fun.
Had you ever met anybody like them before?
It was a different culture, so it was kind of my first immersion into Latin culture, and what I loved about it was the dynamic of the family. It was there's in my view today still. I mean, because I've in business, I also had businesses in Mexico, which I got close with other families there too. It's the culture. There's some culture that as in some of these families that the kids grow up faster.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're more exposed at younger ages to more things that are verbalized and.
Yeah, they can't hide themselves as well.
I think they're more open to talk about family, tight-knit families and open and, problems and that. And, and when a lot of things when I was growing up, it was families kind of kept that stuff away from their children.
Right.
And I just found the culture was pretty, the uncles, the aunts, all that, the family bond was a lot stronger. I grew up in a family that my mother had 13 kids. And
13 brothers
I
and
had
sisters.
72 first cousins
on
my mother's side. And they all lived probably within 10 hours of us. And after a very brief period, I hardly knew any of them.
My family's the same way.
Monica's family also came from, her dad came from a big family, and there are lots of siblings. And you just saw the bond of the family. Again, I was younger, and it was a good immersion into it.
Yeah, and it seems like that culture, they have a passion for life and sort of seizing the
Full
moment,
life.
enjoying. Yeah.
Well, Colombians are very full of life.
Right. Yeah.
They're very. I don't know. They've done studies. And I'm not that I believe in all that, but they're like the second happiest people on earth.
Yeah.
I'd say they're also the second
they
most
do
pissed
like
off.
to party.
Yeah.
Party.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first met her mother and I made a trip to Colombia, they drink this drink called aguardiente, which is kind of like a lighter schnapps, but and you can drink a lot of it. And we were going outside of Medellin, Colombia, going up to a ranch house on a weekend, to visit with family, and they were going to, everybody was going to come by, and she said, Tommy, pull over. And we pulled over. She goes, will you go get some aguardiente? And she didn't speak English all that well either, but I said, what do you want me to get, a couple bottles? She said, no, get 24. and by the weekend was over, they were all gone.
Yeah.
They bring bags of it. Like when we went to a family reunion, they brought a full-size suitcase just with cartons of aguardiente.
Yeah.
They get after it. It's
how's your Spanish?
Poquito.
un poquito. It's hilarious.
Did you learn a lot to sort of bond with the family a little bit more? Or?
Yeah, I could understand a lot what was being said.
Right.
But I didn't speak it well.
Yeah.
I wasn't great at language.
Yeah.
I barely speak English well. So.
And then your biggest business ended up being a hair care business that you started in the 80s that lasted for 20 years probably before you sold it.
14, 15 years.
And
Jimmy and I started.
You started with your brother.
That's when I moved to California. When I came to California, it wasn't like I came to California just to check it out. I immediately got off the plane and started working.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up liking it a lot. I loved the business. We ended up starting with a very small company. And it was fun, and we did business in like 38 countries, and I got to travel a lot. We had distributors. I love distributors because they're entrepreneur too.
Mm-hmm.
We dealt with every major retailer in the United States. My role was more in the sales and marketing and running the business, and Jimmy had built a really good R&D team in developing product, but it was a marketing driven company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you love marketing.
I do.
That's your favorite.
How'd you come up with the name?
On which one?
The Got To Be.
Actually, that came out of one of our girls out of the marketing, my marketing department. She came up with it. I can't take that one. Yeah, you did.
I remember too. Like,
But I liked it when I heard it.
Yeah.
Your friend Joe Black
catchy.
said, he goes, Joe Black is a friend of my dad's, and he was doing like helping my dad with the remodel of the office. He goes, you know, JT, when I go by the office when your dad's there, it's really calm. Then when I come by when your dad's there, shit is flying. He's like, papers are in the air, people are running in and out of doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, it's just it's chaos. But in a good way, because you love that. You bring a lot of energy to everything. What?
Well, they used to make a joke because in some of our offices, they used to. I could see where the carpets were worn. Where I'm a pacer. You know, I always have to go into some department and so what's happening, and it's in the creative part. And fortunately with the hair care company, we were able to do a lot of different brands. Which it was fun. So each brand had its own identity, and that identity you helped develop, and it had like brands have personalities, and so we had brand managers, and we had a really cool creative graphic team, and which a lot of companies that we used to compete against didn't have that. They didn't have their own internal, so we could change packaging quickly. If an idea came up, boom. Go right in there and bang it right out, and change that. It was exciting. I mean, and we moved fast.
Yeah.
But what year was it when you were like, all right, this thing is like got the legs to really be a game changer for
if you
my
know
family.
me, JT, I still bite my nails, so I still think the sky's falling down. You never think that. You just keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I never sat back and said, hey, this is happening. Hey, I can sit back.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt in many things I've been involved in that I was, could take a big sigh of relief and say, hey, yeah, let's chill. I can go do that. I mean, business is constantly evolving, constantly challenging.
Do you think that came from your dad going up and down with business?
It probably has a lot to do with that. And I always say the sky's falling down. You just always have to be prepared. It's like chess. You got to be 6 moves ahead.
Yeah.
You always got to be constantly thinking, what's next? You can't sit on your, I mean, it's a cliche, but it's true. You got to keep moving.
You have a couple things that you say are like that I think you'd stress the most about having success in business. You'd always talk about profit margins. Like hair care products have great profit margin. It only costs like 50 cents to make.
Yeah,
and
you
sell
had
it for
great
$6.
margins going out the door, but then again, there was other costs associated with those against that.
With the different channels to
When
get
one
it
of
to
them
where you
would be
needed it.
called co-op, which was what retailers wanted to spend of it. They took a big chunk.
And then location. Because my dad used to take me around. We'd go to different stores and we'd see how his products
you
were
didn't want to
lining
be
up
on
against the
bottom
other
shelf.
ones.
You wanted to be we used to say we wanted to be an eye-level company.
And then he'd see some stores. I'm like, that's such a cool store. And my dad's like, JT, you know how fucking hard it is to get to that store? It's going to be out of business in 6 months.
Really?
Because the location sucked. And he was generally right. And then what was your other big saying was pigs get fat,
Hogs get slaughtered.
hogs get slaughtered, which was be greedy, but don't be too greedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Or no one will like you, basically. Is there anything I'm missing? What were the other big ones?
on my one-liners?
Yeah.
I don't know. They
The
pop
one-liner-
out. So
I find that they actually were pretty brilliant. Like the older I get, I used to you'd say them so much, I was like, it sounded like a jukebox or something. But
what
now
was
they
it?
make
What was
sense.
it like for you to grow up in that kind of environment where I was off doing that too?
It was fun. I mean, I remember like, I have so many great, like with David Gingold, who's a really good buddy, who's one of your distributors in New York. Like, he was grilling my dad in a meeting, and I was 5 years old, and I came running into the meeting and started choking David.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Put him in a headlock.
Yeah.
And then, like, I got to go to New York with my dad for that trip and
A lot of trips. I mean,
Yeah.
that was one of the things that, particularly in my international business, which we had a big business in England and, in Canada and other big, but I was able to take my kids on some of these trips because with distributors, you could plan a trip and, so you got to go to Asia, you got to go to Europe.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was really lucky, and I got to meet people from all over, which I think really helped me connect with different kinds of
And
people.
we always had people coming in and out of the house.
Yeah. Oh, the house was always packed. We always had like 3 people living with us.
Yeah.
Like my dad would be like, "Hey, Arthur and Paul are gonna live with us for like." Arthur and Paul don't even know each other.
Yeah.
For like a year, but it was great because then we could have like 2-on-2 basketball games at night, and then and just it was such a cast of characters that. And they all treated me like a little mini adult. They'd talk to me about their problems. And, like, I remember, my dad would have, like, a 52-year-old friend staying with us. He'd get drunk and just cry to me about his dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, people don't really get over this shit. I was like, these are successful people, but you really get to see how, not flawed, but how everybody's kind of, even these big alpha types are like kind of sensitive too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty awesome. And then my dad was so into business. I was reading the business section of the newspaper from like 11 to 15, and I'd keep track of stocks and like how different metals were going up and down, and it was fun. And like I remember when we went on one trip, you let me stay up with the dads one night when everybody was just pitching business ideas, and I just got to watch men bond and through business. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah, I enjoyed I'm sorry the business stuff didn't take more hold, but I always enjoyed the sport of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want JT to follow in your footsteps, or did you want him to find his own path?
I think maybe a little bit, but no. I always thought he was strong individuals.
Yeah.
Even since he was young, and I just really wanted him to do what he wanted to do.
Right.
Or I still think that maybe one day we'll do something together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Dads probably always think that way, but
Yeah.
they've gone. I still have hope for Christopher. He might come around to that, but I mean, today I'm still looking at. I have a couple projects that I'm working on that. That I think are quite interesting, and the ability to put a team back together and build something again. And they're in two different spaces, and I'm kind of excited about it. But again, I have a health issue that I'm dealing with that kind of makes me don't want to leave the family with a bag of crap that I might create. So I got to be very kind of selective, and what's really important now is putting the right team in place.
You got to stay on top of it too, Dad, with the eating and the smoking stuff.
Yeah.
Drive me fucking crazy with that shit, please. I don't mean to get on you about it. All right, what was I gonna say? Go ahead.
So when you sold the business, what was your mindset? You were kind of like immediately, you're just like, what's next?
I got a inside look of a large conglomerate, and I did that I stayed aboard I didn't have to. I could have left the next day, but I stayed aboard for a couple of years, integrating a couple companies and, getting our company right-sized and moving forward. But, then I got into, solve the big corporate side of it, and reports, and, it was cut cost, and, it jaded me a little bit on what I would call a little bit of the uncaringness of people.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good team that we had developed, and it just seemed it didn't. Some of these larger size things, and when they acquire a company, they try to right size it, downsize it, or streamline it, integrate it, and that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
So I saw that and didn't do it. I mean, fortunately, we spun on another idea, and we started another company in the outdoor footwear, active outdoor lifestyle footwear.
No business like shoe business.
Yeah, no business like shoe business, and that was a fun deal. I mean, we put together a great team and built that up, and I just recently sold that about a year and a half ago.
You love the team building.
It's camaraderie. It's hanging out. You live and start owning a business and being involved in it. You're living with it.
Yeah.
And having the right team of people that get along with one another. There's always inside stuff, fighting and stuff like that. Or people's opinions and things like that. But it's fun.
How important was having Mom with you when you were doing all this?
Your mother was a great business person. She was a great, she was my best sounding board. Today, she's still my best. I mean, she's still one of my best sounding boards. Your mother has a very good judge of people, judge of timing, when to be aggressive, when to move, when to stay still. I mean, she was a great sounding and a great partner, Big mama.
So when we proposed to her, she says you guys were just driving in a car.
Down Corona Del Mar.
And then you just said, hey.
Mother in the back seat.
And you just said,
really?
Her mother in the back seat.
And you just said, hey, what do you think? Should we get married?
Yeah. Right.
Really?
And her mother said, what do you say? What do you say in Spanish? She
Yeah,
said, He just asked me if we wanted to get married. What'd you say? Anyway, yeah.
Then what happened from there?
We got married.
She said yes?
Yeah.
In the car? Okay.
I think I had moved to California, I think in December '85, and your mother and I were married by May of '86.
And
Yeah.
you wore a blue zoot suit as you guys got married in Coconut Grove, Miami.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was fun.
And you said some people were betting you guys wouldn't make it.
Yeah, year.
And you guys, I am amazed you guys made it. You guys both have such big, you're both steamrollers, I would call you, both big personalities. And you guys made it, what, 25 years or something like that?
Almost 30.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And you told me even on the airplane on your honeymoon,
Yeah.
you thought, what the fuck am I doing? But I appreciate your ability to stay in the pocket and take it on day by day.
Well, it helped we had
Yeah.
you two.
Yeah. And now you have a wonderful girlfriend, Kent. How did you guys meet?
I met Ken in Montana, in Bozeman, where I now have another home, and that's where our footwear company was
And
centered.
you met her at a bar, right?
I met her in a restaurant called Plunk, which is Plunk stands for cheap wine, I guess, in England. Plunk means cheap wine or something. But she, but I introduced through a friend that met.
But you were pretty persistent. She told me that she was with another guy. And
I said she was with another guy.
yeah, and then she was trying to go home, and my dad kept insisting that she let him walk her home.
Really?
Yeah,
I did walk her home. I drove her home.
and then he just stayed on it. Yeah.
Well, we had a bond originally. First day I met her, we've talked and we bond, and she's a wonderful person.
And you kind of believe in like astrological stuff. Like,
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because he'll be like, JT, Kent's got to go for a long walk. The full moon's out. He goes, when the full
Really?
moon
Oh, well,
comes
that's
out.
her. Kent's very much that way.
He's like,
I
when
mean,
the full
when
moon.
moons rise, I mean, forget it. She's gone.
Yeah. Are you sensitive to that stuff? You're like, oh, the full moon's
I
out.
call it
so-
wackadoodle stuff.
Yeah.
You know, she's big on that. I mean, she
Yeah.
just it's true in her. It's built into her. It's like full moons. She just can't sleep. She's just
Really?
Yeah, it's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's a good lady. Hey, you've met
Yeah.
Kent.
I've met
right?
Kent, yeah.
Dad,
We
what's
hung out in Miami.
Oh yeah,
That was fun.
Dad, what's the worst beating you've ever taken?
Beating. Wow.
Because I got one, but I'll let you
My
go.
dad with a belt.
Yeah, that's not fun. I
He
remember,
had this move when he went for his belt where he would do this like two hands.
like the slide.
He had
yeah.
this like run for cover.
Yeah. Would you run?
Oh yeah.
Well, and did you ever fight back?
Never.
Because I started trying to when we would get
Never.
into it once in a while.
I don't think my dad ever took a belt to me. Maybe once.
Oh, okay.
But he would do
But
that
Grandma
move
would do it.
occasionally, like, you know.
He taught you. Yeah.
But Grandma would do it, right?
Yeah, I think when I was really little, my mother she'd use a broomstick because we could hide under the bed, and she would, you guys,
Just-
you little shitheads, get out of there.
She was a pistol too, man. Grandma was like,
Yeah.
she had like a acid tongue, but it was great. Like
was
she's
a
so
tough-
funny.
Yeah, she was a great woman.
She was amazing. Yeah, it was
Well,
doing
your
the party.
grandmother, you know.
I loved her. Yeah, she was.
And
the
you
best.
guys were great grandchildren.
Yeah, we were tight. But the beating I'm talking about, and I've taken some too, so there's no judgments. My dad goes to a high school football game, a high school football team party with all the dads, and everyone's it's all these alpha male Orange County dads. Everybody's jacked up. My dad comes outside and he sees some like 19-year-olds, and they're knocking rear view mirror. They're knocking the
I
side.
just got in a brand new car.
They're knocking the side view mirrors off cars. And so my dad just goes, hey, no. Starts chasing him. He's like, hey, you fucks. Goes to get him. They all start running.
It's the only time I wore, probably in my lifetime, I've worn white pants. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe 5 times in my whole lifetime. I happen to have white pants on. This is a good story.
So my dad's chasing like 5 or 6 teenagers, like 19-year-olds. He's running. They turn and stop, ready to fight.
There's like 5 or 6 of them, but I had the advantage that I was coming down a hill, and they had turned up the hill. And I don't know where I thought, maybe Bruce Lee came into my mind, but I literally went up in the air and gave the one guy a kick with my foot right into his chest and flattened him.
Yeah.
And then my dad, he goes on guard, and he's fighting like four guys.
And
then,
but unfortunately, I didn't see this girl that was in the group with him who had a full bottle of wine. And
Big
she
bottle, one of those-
smashed it right over my head.
No way.
And cut my head wide open.
Oh.
And this is my white pants story.
Yeah.
Blood's coming all the way down.
Oh my God.
But unfortunately, the cavalry had come. Gentleman Jack Maxwell, Ryan,
Yeah.
whose son knocked you out one time.
Yeah.
and the really big father,
Mr. Pizzurro.
Pizzurro came roaring.
Flew
into
helicopters
this
in
crowd.
Vietnam.
And
Yeah.
I'll never forget that Mr. Pizzurro I could see his fist just moving slowly to this guy's face and
Yeah.
flatten him. And apparently they were all coming from a USC graduation party.
Okay.
And they were probably all jacked up too, but it was quite a little. You know, I was probably, I don't know, 50 then.
Yeah.
You
I get
know,
a phone call.
Not grown up.
I get a phone call, and it's my Ross's dad, Finley. He goes, JT, your fucking father, he got his fucking head split open. I go, oh my God, Finley's gonna be okay. He goes, yeah, his head will be fine. His ego, that's another story.
Yeah, Finley was good with one. Yeah, there had to be probably 120 parents there at that point.
Yeah.
And I come into the house soaking bloody. The women are there freaking out.
Yeah.
And I'm in a sink trying to wash my head. Finley took me to the hospital.
Yeah. So, Dad, what's something that you've learned from your experiences over the last the last year and a half? Has your perspective changed at all on life, or has it reaffirmed what you kind of already knew?
Yeah, I mean, when I got the news that I had cancer, I mean, I think I took it really. I mean, to me, it's another challenge, and just I immediately said at that point, hey, listen, I've had a good life. I have had.
Yeah, you really stressed that to me.
I'm a very fortunate person in this world, and I thank God for that. I just immediately said I've had a good life, and what it's going to be is, do the best you can to kind of take care of this and try to fight it. But at the same time, I really quickly rationalized that I've had a great life, and whatever happens, and it's inevitable anyway. And I just had that spirit in me. It wasn't like I'm not afraid to die. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's part of, afterlife and believing in that, and I do.
JT, when he's talked to me about it, he said that you've always been very optimistic about it, and you sort of
I'm not a negative person.
just got right back to work, and you maintain this full life energy throughout it all.
It took a little, I had sold the footwear. The day I got diagnosed, 2 days later, we closed the deal on my footwear company, so the timing of that was good. But, I went through, the typical treatment scenarios of chemos and that, which knock you down. And then I had a major surgery last September.
Whipple. It's one of the
Whipple
biggest
surgery.
procedures you can
Yeah,
have.
it was like a 9-hour surgery.
But 10 days later, you flew to a wedding.
Yeah, well, I wasn't too good at that wedding.
Yeah, but the fact that
Remember,
you made it there at all is
I did
a
make
testament
it,
to your
and
fortitude.
then, and that took a while to get over. But I'm doing good, and I feel good. My a period there, my cancer, they said I was cancer free, but it came back. It's small right now. It hasn't grown. I'm being treated at a wonderful hospital in Houston, MD Anderson. Great doctor teams, and it's just part of a thing that I'm in a day-to-day thing you go through. But I keep looking forward. I mean, I'm still there. I want my I'm totally interested in what my kids are doing, and
Right.
What you're doing too.
Yeah.
You guys are partnered at the hip here.
Yeah.
It's important you two have a great dynamic.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
I think you do, and it's wonderful to see it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I don't know.
I think you're doing a good job, Dad. And you really do stress that even when you first got the diagnosis, that we're very lucky. And I think it's a hard thing to say when you're going through something like that, but it does put things in the right perspective. All right, before I just fucking sob forever. Your buddy Tim Bush had some questions too. What is your greatest joy in your life?
My kids.
Oh, come on.
Oh, it is, without a doubt. I mean, I don't think there's not a moment as a parent until you wake up you don't think about your kids. How they're doing and want them to be successful. I've had partners my whole life, so I know the dynamic of two people like yourself joining up in that. There's a lot of give and take, but
Yeah.
partnerships are wonderful. I mean, I've had good experience in partnerships, and checking your ego at the door, just trying to, if you guys are going in the same direction, the goals and things of that nature, it's wonderful, and
Yeah.
thinking about, because I as a father look at the dynamic you two and hope that, want that to work out wonderful,
Yeah.
You worry about, things like frictional points, people start growing in different ways, going in different directions, and, you thinking about your kids, most parents always think about their kids.
Yeah. Well, it seems like from hearing you talk about your experience in business, some of the greatest joys you've had have been with building a team and growing together with your team, and
and bringing people along.
Yeah, and how just in your career and business, it can be so much more enjoyable when you're experiencing that with a partner. And we have Strider with us and Joe, and it's just been.
I know you guys won't let me in on this.
You're always welcome. Yeah.
As I get older, I feel more mentoring.
You love to mentor. You always have young. You've had throughout my life, you've had young guys in your life that you're kind of looking after.
Yeah, I still like being around youth. I do.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Tim wanted to also know, what is your greatest disappointment?
Probably that. My biggest disappointment is that your mother and I went kind of going in separate directions with your mother.
Right.
But we still have. And some people can't understand it. We still have a tremendous bond, and that didn't work out on the long run is probably my biggest disappointment. But I think we're both happy. And truly respect her.
Yeah, and I think it was for the best, honestly. I think you guys are
well,
both...
you saw it from the inside out. What do you think?
I mean, it was pretty chaotic growing up. I mean, there was a lot of love, and I always felt supported, and I always knew you guys supported each other. But I think the personalities were too big to coexist in one household. Yeah. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But it's... I think you're both happier, and I think you both have more peace now.
Yeah, you see that?
I for sure see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm happy with it was obviously really hard on Mom.
Yeah.
The split, and she's a little more volatile than you are in terms of how she feels her feelings. But I'm so impressed with how she came through it.
Yeah, me too.
And she's really built a beautiful life for herself. And and then you guys both have great partners. Ken's awesome, and then Mom's boyfriend Greg
is super.
He's a fucking good dude. So it's nice. And a lot of people too wanted to know how you were able to one, they want to know, why did you always win at Kick the Can when we played at the ranch? That's what Bob and Linda want to know. That's just because you're a pure competitor.
Yeah, I am.
We played a wiffle ball one time.
But you immerse yourself in it and get into it. Right?
You can hide out
I
for
don't
days.
like to do, but if I'm going to get into it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And then we played wiffle ball one time, and my dad was like, I don't want to play wiffle ball. Who gives a fuck? And then smash cut 2 hours later, he's coming home. There's a 13-year-old kid with a wiffle ball at home plate, protecting a lawn chair, and my dad dives straight through both of them, knocking the kid off and winning the game. Then he gets up and goes, I don't he acts like he didn't even know what happened. He's like, what happened? I'm like, you just destroyed a teenager. But I love it. All right, let's answer some questions. Dad, you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. Difficult girl sitch. Sup, founding fathers of Stoke. I'm hoping to get some input from you two, and hopefully Stride Daddy if possible, on a recent relation with the superior female gender. I met this girl a couple months ago via mutual friends, and things were great. We'd have PG and R-rated convos via text and see each other fairly often, which would always be a good time for both parties. Unfortunately, just before meeting this girl, I was laid off from my job and had a brief period of unemployment that started a couple weeks after meeting her. After the first few honeymoon weeks of freedom from the man, I started feeling fairly isolated and lonely, as my roommates were all working for a majority of the day as well as my friends. This led to me persistently hitting up this girl, trying to plan our next meetup just to try and have some plans so I have something to look forward to and make time go by quicker. After the first week or so of things changed between us, our text convos weren't the same, and she pretty much stopped being the initiator altogether. After a few failed attempts to plan something and talk like we used to, I stopped reaching out altogether. Now she recently saw our mutual friend and shortly after reached out saying she wasn't in the right space to see someone seriously. It's a cliche, but I still want to hang out and be friends. Seinfeld, yada, yada, yada. By this point, I'd done some self-reflection and realized I was too overbearing, persistent, and was being selfishly inconsiderate of what she had going on. Probably gave off some unintentional vibes as to how serious I wanted to be as well. I still like this girl and want us to be able to go back to having the type of relation we had in the beginning, but I'm at a loss as to what to do. I'm hoping y'all can provide some insight as to how to approach the sitch or give some personal examples of how you've summited this relationship Everest. What do you think, Dad?
Why don't you take that one first?
What do you think? My dad's itching his head and looking around.
He's that's a long written of what's going on with him, and maybe I just naturally say move on.
Yeah. I think he's writing too much about a situation that's pretty simple, right? Not to tell you you're writing too much.
It needs to
it's
be.
Good you're
and
sensitive.
sometimes feelings need to be simplified.
Yeah.
I think
Get to the real core, one issue or whatever, core it down, and and refocus it down to some more simple thing because that sounds like a lot to communicate to another person.
Yeah. I think
maybe I'm wrong.
I think he didn't have much going on in his life, and you need to have a life of your own before you can bring someone else into it. And I think, dude, I think my dad's right. I think you're overthinking it a little bit. I think you take care of your stuff. Hopefully you're back with a job, and then you're doing some stuff after the job that makes you happy. And then if you want to go out with this girl, you just reach out and say, hey, like I'd love to get coffee sometimes, and then just don't freight it with too much expectations or pressure on her, and I think it'll work out in a way that's good for you.
Yeah, I agree. Give her some space, because he's got laid off recently, so I think he should focus on himself and start improving his life, start building up whatever he has going on so that he can give her some space, let her digest her feelings, sort of build up your own life. And I think in due time, maybe you guys will come back together, but I know that feeling of when you meet someone and you have this like overbearing feeling of like, oh, I need to lock it down, or I need to, and you just put too much effort into it and you scare them away. So I would say just focus on yourself, give her space, and maybe she'll come back, but don't think about it too much.
Yeah. This question's kind of interesting. What up, dudes? You boys are killing it with the pod. Able to effectively and efficiently maintain my stoke levels daily thanks to your crew. Please know that this is coming from a place of love, not from a place of hate. I love the pod, but I know you guys are all about self-improvement. I have a couple things I want to say that could really enhance the level of stoke I feel mid-episode. JT, man, stop saying you're going to cut what you're saying. I love the long-form conversation type podcast with no cuts or edit. Just let the conversation take wings and soars. And also, it's wicked you guys are all about helping bros writing in, but sometimes those huge depressing questions people write in definitely bring down my stoke. When I listen to like a 3-minute email about how sad a guy is, or another email explaining every single detail of his broken relationship with his GF, I just start thinking about how messed up the world is. If you can maybe just sum up the details real quick for the listeners, so it's just not some guy rambling forever, then the fellow stoker can get his answer while everyone else doesn't have to hear his entire life story. Plus that leaves more time available for the bros to chop it up. You guys are fucking wicked. Looking forward to more episodes.
Thought that was well said.
Yeah.
And it went to the first caller.
Yeah.
No one wants to. I think everyone, it's all about building stoke, and I agree that sometimes it's kind of hard to hear someone's life story for 5 minutes when no one likes to be a bummer.
But I think there's stoke in the pain. You know what I mean? I've always been like, it's if this is what it takes for these dudes to feel like maybe they don't have another outlet where they can say this stuff,
right?
Where they can really just exhaust their whole perspective on these things. They need to let it out. And I think letting it out, you empty that space, and that leaves space for the stoke to come in. Yeah. And better out than in. But I do agree. Sometimes I'm like, this could definitely be a little more succinct. But
you've always been a caring person, JT.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, Dad. Thank you. Varying degrees of caring. I think we all remember what a monster I could be too.
Okay.
I got suspended for bullying 3 times.
You can say that bullshit to your audience.
Okay.
You're caring.
And then to the thing about me editing, it's twofold. Sometimes it's for aesthetic purposes, like to make the podcast better because I can ramble, and it's mostly me who rambles. And then also, like, we try to be very personal, and sometimes you can be too personal, and you got to pull it back for yourself and for the people in your life.
Yeah. And I think there's a happy medium to what he was talking about. You know, I want the podcast to be an outlet for people to sort of find solace in whatever they have going on. But I do agree for the audience sometimes, so it can be a bit much. So we can summarize a bit more, you know.
Yeah.
But don't be
You're right,
afraid.
you're
Don't
right.
be afraid to sort of vent to us and tell us what's going on, because that's why we're here.
For sure. What up, council? Please don't use my name. My girlfriend listens to the pod. 2 questions for the Stoke Lords and relationship gurus. How do I get my GF to politely leave my house on Sunday afternoon? Sunday is my day to recharge and veg while mentally preparing for the week and to catch up with my bros after spending a few consecutive days with the GF. I have found that my girlfriend is becoming more reluctant to leave and starts to demand more attention while I attempt to watch football with the bros. What can I do to nudge her in the right direction? And 2, my girlfriend asked me to go down on her all the time. That's his spelling. Like on a daily basis, and that's fine. I don't mind it because I'm a lover and a partner. But here's the rub. My girlfriend doesn't like to give BJs. A BJ's a blowjob, Dad. I'm talking 10-to-1 ratio. And every time I ask for one, she reacts like she was just selected for jury duty. No Stoke. And then when she gives one, it is so uninspired that I give up and recommend that we just have sex. Negative Stoke. How would one go about this confrontation? How do I bring it up without getting in the doghouse?
I think with the first part of the question, I would just be honest with her and tell her what's going on. You know, say, hey, sometimes I need some time to myself with my friends to recharge. I think that'd be better for me and for the relationship. So,
Get a bigger house.
good call. Get a bigger
More
house.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah. That helps, right?
Get an extra room.
And then, dude, it's tough. I've dealt with that with some people I've dated, and it's never easy to tell someone that you need space, especially if they're super into you. But I think the thing to stress is that you'll be a better partner to her if you get that time and space.
Yeah, I've had moments where I've needed space, but I haven't verbalized it. So then they react by, coming on harder and trying to keep your attention. And it just makes it worse that I don't come out with honesty and just say, hey, I need space.
Right, smart.
It just makes it worse. So I think, and this is something I do. So, I feel for you because looking back, I know there's tons of moments where I just could have been more honest and straightforward. So just tell her what's up.
Yeah, I think, and familiarity breeds contempt. Like if you're around someone all the time.
Guys, you got to be very careful how you say some of these things. Sometimes
Yeah.
they can blow right up in your face.
Good call. Good call.
Okay.
What do you?
Yeah. Like sometimes in life, I think sometimes the white lies a thing. Like make up something. Like
you always tell me that. Yeah, of course
It's
you
one
think
thing of
this.
being active and saying, hey, I got to go meet Joe. He wants to go over something, talking to him about some project, and you end up at a bar and you're watching football on Sunday.
Yeah. My
experience in that, women can be. It's all about timing, about how when
Right.
you communicate something.
I had a girlfriend who was trying to get back together with me, and she was like, I want to get back together, and I was like, I really don't want to right now because I'm getting like female attention for the first time, and I really want to like just pursue that. And she was like, you're such a douchebag, and I was like, I'm just being honest. And I called my dad and told him that. He goes, you fucking dumbass. he goes, he literally puts the phone and goes, Ken, listen to what a fucking idiot JT is.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I sort of gave that advice without ever having done that in my life. So
This is a long one, guys. What up, Chad? Last question. What up, Chad and JT and any supremely stoked guests? I come to you for advice, like the fountains of knowledge that you are. I have some beef with one of my closest bros. A few months back, he went on a mountain walk, legit cardio with this chick that he has been really into for years, and as someone all the squad know from college. She has firmly friend-zoned him years ago, but he remains firmly interested. Anyways, at some point during the walk, she proceeds to tell him that I have cheated on my fiance, my soon-to-be wifey for lifey, with one of her friends. She explains to him that she texted her friend about me a while back, and her friend dropped this bombshell. My bro takes in this information but does not say anything to me for 6 weeks until the chick calls him to tell him her information was untrue. It turns out her friend's phone number had changed and reassigned to some dude, was pretending to be her and getting kicks out of creating beef by pretending to be this girl. Evil. There's beef with this random guy and my dog's love interest, but my real beef is with my dog. He believed this for 6 weeks and didn't question its authenticity in any way. He didn't bring it up to me even though we lived in the same apartment, and said that during those 6 weeks, he thought I was a piece of shit. He maintains that he did nothing wrong because he didn't tell anyone but me. He didn't have my back and took this information as gospel because the source was this chick. I did label him a Judas because he didn't back me up, and now all the squad are a little wary of him. I sympathize with him because he likes this lady a lot, but he clung first in this situation. I don't know, man. I don't think your friend's a Judas at all.
Yeah, he's being a little tough on him.
My dad lost interest. He had to check the phone. You got action over there? What's going on? Did you hear what the sitch was? No? Okay, so this guy's friend heard that he cheated on his girlfriend. His buddy cheated on his girlfriend. And he didn't bring it up to the friend that he heard he had cheated on his girlfriend. And for that, he thinks he's a Judas. But that's not Judasy to me. It's not Juicy Judas.
Yeah, that's,
You still don't know what's happening to you.
Yeah, I do. A little bit.
I mean, I don't think your friend did anything that wrong. He probably just didn't want to add gasoline to the fire.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to keep the peace.
Yeah. I think you're being hard on him.
Yeah, I don't think calling him out, especially to the whole squad, and calling him a Judas is the right move.
Yeah, you're being the Judas by trashing him to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it for questions. Chad, who is your beef of the week?
My beef of the week is with no-go zones with scooters. Mr. Parr, have you tried a scooter out yet? A bird scooter?
No, I haven't.
They're
You
a lot
should
of
do
fun.
it. You like
Yeah.
going fast on stuff.
They're
Yeah.
now in Bozeman now.
Are they
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So in LA they have no-go zones. So, you can get a scooter on Melrose,
Yeah.
and oftentimes I'll take it up to Fountain, but they don't when you take the scooter into the no-go zone, it doesn't turn off or anything. So you go into the no-go zone, and then you get to your destination, you go to turn it off, and suddenly the app is like, oh, you can't turn it off here, or you'll get a
It's the
huge
fucking worst,
charge,
dude.
and now you have to go back 5 more blocks to where you can turn it off. And you're like, well, either turn off the scooter or just let it, I guess my beef is with the city as well for establishing these no-go zones. Just let us roam free. You're infringing on my freedom to scoot. And I don't appreciate it. And I think it's a huge thorn in my side that I have to be wary of these no-go zones, because oftentimes the no-go zone is in my apartment.
So they let skateboarders do it too? Go into those zones too?
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I
these are
think-
different because it's like privately owned.
It's just the scooter companies. They're not, because they're earning money. And
Yeah, and no one owns them except for
Yeah.
the company. Yeah,
so
but
basically you can't turn off
The scooter?
the scooter,
Yeah.
and you keep getting charged money,
Right.
and you have to take it back to.
But it's they can't turn off the scooter because that particular thing's been mapped in an app
Right.
that says that you can't park there.
right.
but it's like a
exactly.
Tetris map.
Yeah,
It
so-
looks like Tetris. Like
Yeah.
there's like weird.
It's not very
jutting
clear.
Out. Yeah.
They should have something locked into where if you go into the no-go zone, the scooter turns off. So
You're well aware of it.
Yeah,
before
or-
you go too far.
or some kind of like alarm goes off. That's like,
That's coming.
yeah.
My beef of the week is with the Steelers. I inherited my dad's Steeler fandom. In some ways, I think I even elevated your fandom. They made a terrible decision in the front office to trade their first round pick for a defensive back, Minka Fitzpatrick. He's got good pedigree coming out of Alabama, and I haven't watched him play much, but everyone says he's a beast. But listen, we got the potential to go 3-13 this year. We could be in the race for Tua, also from Alabama, and I think that's worth more than having a good DB, although we've always struggled in that department. So I just don't know what they were thinking. We got no prospects for this season, and now you've given away the hope we had for a brighter future. And I just don't like the decision. It makes me fucking sad, and I wish we would have held on to that pick. Because we need a fucking QB, because I'm sick and tired of Ben Roethlisberger. I think he's a drama queen. He falls apart on the road. He's done some great work in the past, but it's all colored with bad decisions he made off the field, and I'm ready to move on. His big fucking Alec Baldwin head is driving me nuts. And we're going to hold on to him for the next couple of years. We lost Antonio Brown to his own narcissism, and we lost Le'Veon Bell to I don't know what the hell. And we never even got a title out of all those dudes. And I'm just like, let's just start fresh with the number 1 pick in 2 years, I guess.
Great.
Dad, who's your beef of the week?
Right now, it's health insurance companies. I'm dealing with my insurance company after a year and a half of being treated by my doctors in Houston, saying I can't go to those doctors anymore. I have to, with a doctor within California or whatever. But, it's just it's just a pain in the ass, and it's all this noise about the healthcare systems. But I'm facing reality, and as so many other people are facing this crap, and it's just sad to see that we're a country that is wealthy and do good as we are can't have some of this, and it's big business at its best, worse.
Right. I'm sorry you're going through that though, Dad.
Oh, it's I'm dealing with it. We'll hopefully get some headway, but fortunately we have more resources to deal with this, and you just wonder people that don't and what they have to deal with. It's it's sad.
Yeah, it sucks. Chad, who is your babe of the week?
My babe of the week are these two dogs, Penny and Maple. So I went to I was staying at my girlfriend's sister's house in Fayetteville, Arkansas for a wedding over the past weekend. They had two dogs, Penny and Maple. And these two dogs had so much personality. And I love Penny was hilarious. You know those dogs that they can just give you looks?
Mm-hmm.
Where you know exactly what they're thinking?
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
What were they thinking?
This one was just like, Penny would give you this look where you'd stop petting her and she'd give you so much personality in her face. She'd look at you. You'd be like, are you really going to stop fucking petting me right now? And then Maple just had this rapid fire tail that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It was a small tail, but there's so much muscle in it that it would just make the most noise you've ever heard. So I don't know. I just thought they were babes for how much personality they have. I love dogs. I love being around dogs. So I just wanted to give them props.
Love that, dude.
Yeah.
Man's best friend. Besides his best friend. Dad. Oh, I'll go first. My baby of the week is the show Succession. It had its series finale last night on HBO. And I'd been playing kind of like at a distance with it. I watch it every week, but all my friends on our fantasy football thread are like, it's the best show ever. I'm like, it's pretty good. I think Chernobyl's better. But then after the finale last night, it's the best show on TV. Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, the dialogue does get a little old with its hyper velocity and combination of being erudite and crude, where it's I'm about to octopus tentacle your pussy until it comes out your fucking throat, and then you bleed out, you fucking worthless peon. And you're like, all right, yeah, well, everyone talks tough. And having you as someone I looked at who is successful in business, no one in the show is ever good at business. They just talk shit the whole time. I'm like, isn't there ever a part where they make good deals or something like that?
Yeah.
But I get that it's not inherently dramatic to watch that. But I would like some of that realism. But the show's the best. Because the Shakespearean family drama is just played up perfectly, and it breaks your heart, and then it gets you pumped up, and it does it all. And I fucking love the show. Way to go, Succession. Daddy.
My baby of the week?
Yeah.
I'd have to say Kent, my girlfriend. She's here in California with me this weekend too. She's travels with me everywhere, and a lot of what in the last year or so been dealing with my illness and being right there and being on a front runner for a lot of this stuff. And she's just a trooper, and I'm glad I've met her in my life.
She's wonderful. Yeah. Love you, Kent. Chad, who is your legend of the week?
My legend of the week is Fayetteville, Arkansas. Have you ever been there?
Yeah, I have.
It's a wonderful town.
Yeah.
Have you actually been there?
Yeah, I have.
Because my dad's famous for...
I have been there.
He doesn't like not having been
I used to go
somewhere.
to Walmart. I used
Yeah.
to go to Bentonville, Arkansas.
Oh, Bentonville, right.
I went to
yeah.
Barcelona. My dad had never been there. I heard him on the phone with someone. He goes, JT's going to Barcelona. They're like, have you been there? He's like, yeah, I've been there a bunch. I was like, you've never fucking been there.
Yeah, I love this town. It's very outdoorsy, a lot more outdoorsy than I anticipated. Lots of cool restaurant shops, and just a good overall vibe. It actually had kind of New England vibes with the architecture and sort of the design of all the buildings in the campus. But with that
you
sort
have
of
family there, right?
in New England.
No,
New Orleans.
yeah, in Alabama or New Orleans?
My brother's in New Orleans,
Yeah.
and then brother's in New York.
Right, okay.
They're spread all over, so it's nice though. I get to go all
Yeah,
these,
good places.
these choice locations. So it's cool. I've got a good tour of the country. But yeah, it was just cool. And and sometimes I apologize in the pod. I've sort of written off certain states. I'll be like, yeah, it's like living in Iowa or something. And I apologize to the people who live there, because I haven't been to Iowa yet, but Arkansas was wonderful. So, don't knock it till you try it.
Oh, that's lovely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. My legend of the week is all my dad's buddies. You know, the people who helped write in. Bob, Troy. You know, I didn't talk to him, but Pedro, Tim, Arthur, Freddie, Jimmy T. You know, you really did have just a great group of friends. And they were like fathers to me too. And sometimes you would even, when I'd be acting like an asshole on a vacation, they would ask for permission to pull me aside and rip into me. And
Pedro did that good.
yeah, and
Did he really?
Yeah, and you would give it to him, and it you know, the message was probably better received coming from someone outside the nuclear family, and it was nice having so many people look after me, and I'm glad you just taught me that friendships matter so much, and you have really good friendships, so it's nice. Now, what was I going to say? Even though you fuck with all of them relentlessly.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah. Jimmy T was always dating different people, and my dad used to have, I've said this on the pod before, my dad used to go, when I was a little kid, he'd go, JT, go up to Jimmy T and ask him why he's a woman's worst nightmare in front of his new girlfriend. And my dad would just be chewing his sunglasses, watching from a distance. Like I said, he'd just crack up, and then he'd get kind of nervous. He'd go, oh, what did I do? Yeah. You love the action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we'd go to big dinners, there'd be two single people in their 20s, and my dad would just look at them and be like, when are you two going to get together?
Yeah.
You love the...
creating the chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you think when one of your friends would lay into JT? Were you like, oh, he's getting it, or would you get kind of defensive?
As a parent, in some of these instances I can remember pretty well, but when a really close friend of yours has to lay into your kid, you kind of, as a father, you're going, hey, I'm not a great parent. I'm not a great parent.
Right. So you feel like
you put it on yourself that
Right.
if he's acting some way that a parent has to say that. But they were so few.
Well, it's hard when all they saw was me running around butt naked or body slamming somebody.
Or JT, he used to be picked up at school, and he used to love to hang his butt out at the teachers as he went around the half circle.
Yeah, what did you think of his nudist ways?
It's you and Mom's fault with all the fucking nude paintings and sculptures in the house. Not really your fault. It's my fault. But yeah.
You get a life.
Yeah, you'd always say something like that. JT, don't you have better things to do than run around with your dick out? I was like, it's a good point. It's a good point. Made me think. All right, Dad, who is your legend of the week?
In this legend of the week?
Yep.
Legend of the week. Legend of the week.
Just some guy you admire or lady you admire.
Oh, that somebody I admire as a person?
Yeah.
I wish, in the politics that's going on right now, I wish Michael Bloomberg would jump in. I admire that guy.
Yeah.
He's a self-made guy. He's made a lot of money in his life. He was mayor of New York. I think he's a good, balancing.
He's too old now, though.
Well,
Well, they're all old, I guess. Look at Bernie and look at Donald Trump. Yeah.
Was a mayor of a very diversified city, and I think he's a good guy.
I like him because he's big on health. He boosted the bike lanes, and then he took out trans
took
fats.
Coca-Cola out of the.
Yeah, he made you list how many calories are in shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Chad, what is your quote of the week?
All right, my quote of the week comes from Seinfeld. This is George Costanza in the episode The Summer of George. Are you a Seinfeld watcher?
Oh, yeah. Love that show.
It's my favorite.
I love it.
Yeah.
The more I watch it, the more I even love it more.
Dude, same here. I was at this wedding this weekend. There was a huge block of cheese. It was like this big. And it reminded me of this quote from George where in the Summer of George episode where he's found his freedom, where he's getting paid basically to not work. And he's like, and then this gets threatened, and he's like, I was living the dream. I was eating a block of cheese the size of a car battery. And then Jerry's like, I love how you associate some sort of a block of cheese with some sort of bachelor utopia.
That's a good rejoinder.
Yeah. So that's my quote.
My quote of the week is from Rudyard Kipling. I'm actually going to read an entire poem here, guys, so bear with me. Rudyard Kipling wrote this poem for his son to teach him what it meant to be a man, and I think it's a good encapsulation of that. And it reminds me of my dad. Although Rudyard Kipling was somewhat of a nationalist, and he put too much pressure on his boy to join the military, even though he wasn't physically fit, and his kid ended up dying over there. So go easy, guys. That did not remind me of you, though, Dad. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. Or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop up and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it in one turn of pitch and toss. And lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. It's a good poem. Sorry, I know it's hard to pay attention when someone gets into it. Daddy-O, do you have a quote of the week?
No, I don't. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks
did
for
you like
coming
it?
on.
Yeah, I did.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good
it was
talking
good.
to you, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well,
Chad,
guys,
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks. Sir.
thank you so much for listening. Mr. Parr, thank you for coming in. This was a lot of fun. And guys, keep writing reviews. Stay stoked. And we'll see you next week.
Boom, clap. Yeah, we're done.
If you need advice,